Your first friendship was perhaps not with a human, and yet it was the most genuine. It had no name for what was between you two. No word for it, only the feeling. And this feeling shaped everything that came after it, every friendship, every love. That sounds strange, but the longer you think about it, the more you will feel it. Today we are talking about the first friendship, the one most people have forgotten to appreciate. It's not about whether you had a dog or not. It's about what friendship truly is. And why a dog is sometimes the only one who can really show it to us. Today, I want to tell you what blossoms in a child who is loved by a dog. And why adults who grew up this way experience friendship differently, deeper, more patiently, more genuinely. By the end, you'll have a question to which you might not yet know the answer. And exactly this question will remain, tonight, tomorrow, and long after that. But first, let's go to a child who doesn't even go to school yet. Just imagine. A child, 5 years old, no real friends in kindergarten yet. No clique yet, no rivalry yet, no awareness yet of whether they are popular. But they have the dog. And the dog has them, completely and without any condition. This relationship is complete. Nothing is missing. No status, no evaluation, no mutual expectation. Just two beings who find each other anew every morning and completely accept one another. The child learns. Friendship doesn't mean being the same. It means being there for each other. That sounds easy, but look at how many adults don't actually live that way. The dog makes no conditions. Not a single one. The child doesn't have to be funny, not smart, not pretty, not particularly successful. They just have to show up, simply show up, and the dog jumps up, spins, and wags its tail. As if the child were the most important person in the world. Because to the dog, they are. Children who grow up like this learn something vital. I am enough, exactly as I am. This knowledge, engraved solely by the gaze of a dog, protects them later in life. But here is something that almost no one has ever heard quite like this. Researchers at Cambridge University studied who children name as their closest confidants. For a third of the children surveyed, an animal, usually a dog, ranked first. Ahead of siblings, ahead of parents, ahead of their best friend from kindergarten. The results surprised even the researchers, and there is a very good reason for it. Not because the children don't love their parents, of course they do. But because the dog offers something that no human in the world can offer. No reaction, no judgment, no commentary, no unsolicited advice. Only presence, completely, unconditionally, silently, and without any hidden agenda. And children sense this with a precision that adults have often long lost. They go to the dog when they've experienced something they can't yet put into words. They lie down next to him, sometimes they cry, sometimes they say absolutely nothing at all. And the dog stays, right there, without moving, without asking, without judging. That is no small thing, that is healing, that is friendship in its purest imaginable form. What happens then, when this first friend leaves? When the dog dies, and that always happens before the child is truly ready. Something breaks. But it doesn't break apart, it breaks open. The child experiences for the first time, someone I loved is gone. Forever. And the world keeps turning, and I keep turning with it. Even though it hurts, even though it feels unfair, even though I didn't want it to happen. This lesson, that love and loss belong together, a child carries for an entire lifetime. Adults who had this experience in childhood don't run away from grief quite so quickly. They can endure it, because they learned that grief is not a mistake. Grief is the price for true love, and this price is always worth it. I need to pause for a moment, because this is truly important. Because this is the very core of that first friendship with a dog. It is complete, and it ends. And precisely because of that, it's the best thing that happens to a child. It teaches the full spectrum: love, joy, loss, grief, and then living on. In this exact order, safely, held, accompanied by people who are there. No other friend can give that. Because no other friend dies so early in life. Is so reliably there. Loves so unconditionally and completely. No human can ever replace that. And what remains when it's over? What is left after the dog has gone? An imprint, a shaping, a way of encountering other people that never completely disappears. Children who grew up with a dog as their first friend look for something specific later on. Loyalty, presence, love without an agenda and without the feeling of being in debt. They choose partners who are reliable, friends who stay even when things get difficult. Not always consciously, but profoundly and consistently. There is something else that almost everyone overlooks in this process. Children who grew up with a dog are better at being alone as adults. Not because they are used to loneliness, but because they learned what company truly is. Company isn't always noise and words and a full calendar. Sometimes company is a warm body next to you, breaths, warmth, a silence that doesn't feel empty. Whoever learned that early on doesn't lose themselves in their own silence. And that makes a difference in everyday life, in relationships, in the long nights of life. You might be asking yourself now, what if the child didn't have a dog? Then perhaps they found this first true friend in another being. Or in a person who loved like a dog, unconditionally, silently, without any demands. We all look for that. We search for it our entire lives. The difference is, kids with dogs know that it exists. They have experienced it themselves. And they don't give up until they find it again in a human relationship. I think about all the friendships I have observed throughout my life. The deepest ones, the ones that survive for decades, always share the exact same thing. No conditions, no silent accounting of mutual debt, no expectation. Just, I am here, you are here, and that is enough, today and tomorrow and the day after. That is the standard a dog sets. From the very first day. Anew every single day. And this standard remains, as an inner benchmark that no human can ever erase. This image from the beginning, do you see it differently now? The first friendship was perhaps not with a human. And that was no coincidence. That was a gift, the oldest and most honest gift a child can ever receive. A gift that taught them what true friendship means, long before they even knew the word. Before expectations arose, before disappointments came, before the world imposed conditions. And all of that, through a dog, down on the floor, without a single spoken word. You will have many friendships in your life, some deep, some fleeting. But the first one, the one without words, you still carry that deep inside you. I sometimes ask myself, who was the first to truly love you without conditions? Write it to us. I read every single comment, I really mean that. Because sometimes a single sentence is enough to understand why we are who we are. And maybe, just maybe, the name you write down won't be a human being. And that is the most beautiful thing about this entire story. That a dog sometimes leaves behind more than anything else, silently, without even knowing it. This is precisely the most important relationship of childhood, the one nobody knows it is.